So if you were to tell parents some of the red flags that they should be paying attention to, what would those be?
Usually when we ask about red flags, we expect the answer to be, about the first words, the first sentences. "أي عمر ببلش يحكي ابني." So yeah, it's true. I can tell you, like around the age of 1, we expect to hear the first words, mama, papa. At the age of 2 years, we expect, the combination of 2 words. Okay, I can tell you that. But it's not enough. This is not, the only milestone or red flags we should look for.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Madinat Mom Podcast. I'm Nour, your host, and today's guest, Gaelle, is a speech therapist and a mom of a beautiful little girl. She has a love for cooking, family time, and all things parenting. Through her platform, Gaelle combines her professional knowledge and her personal experience to raise awareness on language development. Her page is a great resource for parents and caregivers where she offers valuable insights on all things parenting, kids, and related to language development. Today's episode, Gaelle is going to talk about her own motherhood experience, and she's also going to share some of those valuable tips and tricks. And so make sure to stay tuned to the end of this episode because you don't want to miss a thing. Thank you for being here, Gaelle.
I'm so excited to be here.
So your daughter is 1.5 now.
Yeah.
So pregnancy and postpartum wasn't too long ago for you.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little
Recovering.
Still recovering. That's true. I mean, some say it takes up to 2 years.
Yeah.
So I can imagine.
Yeah.
But can you tell us a bit about your pregnancy experience? How was that?
Yeah. So actually, we were expecting it a little bit. So, and I started testing very early. Like, I was excited to know, but the test never came positive. And we were going to Lebanon. So once we arrived to Lebanon, it was before Christmas. I tested positive. And, like I was expecting it, but at the same time, you cannot believe it. يعني how will I be a mom? How كيف بدي أهتم أنا ببيبي? Like, is it the good time? Am I ready? And كل questions بيجوا at the same time. Although you're happy and excited. So, like, it's a mix of everything. And the beautiful part and the hard part was that we had to tell everyone because, we were in Lebanon and we had the lunch, like, for Christmas, dinner, like everyone would notice because you cannot eat everything. You're trying, to be careful. So yeah, it was nice that we could announce it to everyone face to face because we live in Dubai. We don't have family. So it was nice, but at the same time, we were worried because, it's still very early.
It's so nice that you got to spend it with family. But I can imagine also telling them so early on must have given you a little bit of like stress. How was that telling family members that are literally in Lebanon waiting for the news?
Exactly. It was very exciting. Everyone was, excited. But like we were a bit scared because I didn't see the doctor, like we don't have the details, but I had to tell them because, they would notice. You cannot drink, you cannot eat everything. Like you're not feeling very well at the beginning. So yeah, it was a mix of everything. But like I'm glad we were able to announce it face to face, to see the reactions, to see the happiness. So
did you start getting comments about, let's hope it's a boy or I want a girl or this?
Luckily, no, not really. Like, especially the grandparents, they were really excited, خلاص, boy, girl, doesn't matter. They've just needed a grandchild. So,
did you have a preference?
Actually, yes.
You did?
Yeah. I wanted a girl because we grew up, like I grew up with my sister and I feel like girls are more emotional. You have this relationship. I don't know. Oh, because of my mom, لأنه she's very close and I like this relationship that we have with her. يعني أنا وأختي and my mom. I feel it's so special. So I wanted a girl.
Are you only girls in the family?
Yeah.
You're only girls?
Only 2 girls.
Okay.
So, and I got it.
And you got a girl?
Yeah. My friend tricked me. So she knew that I wanted a girl. So for the gender reveal, we wanted something intimate, just my husband and I, يعني بس وحدنا. So she prepared it and like she tricked us. أول cupcake, it was blue. So everyone will, when you see the video, بتشوفي قد إيه like it's not like I was not happy, but like I was, it's a boy. And then we opened هول اللي بيطلعوا هيك pink ones, and it was pink. So I knew إنه كانت هيك عم تتسأل علينا. It was a girl بتشوفينا عم صرخ ونط. So you see the difference. بس إنه yeah.
Yeah, I can relate. I think for my first, I wanted a boy, but I got a girl. But when I saw that it was going to be a girl, I got so excited. I started thinking about her dresses and the things that I would, the pink everywhere. And now that we're having a boy, I realize how much pink I got.
Yeah.
And I can't reuse.
Yeah.
I cannot reuse. Yeah. And how was postpartum? Did you give birth in Lebanon or?
No, here in Dubai.
Okay.
It was hard. I think, every postpartum is hard. يعني ما بعتقد حدا حيجي يقول لك wow, it's very easy, la vie en rose. No, it's not like this. You're happy with the baby. You're really excited. Even if you're tired, خلص لو قد ما تعبانة مش نايمة, you're happy with the baby. أكيد هذا الشيء كلنا بنتفق عليه. بس إنه أكيد it's hard. It's new. You have a lot to do. You're not sleeping. You're tired. You don't have enough support, especially when you're in Dubai and you're not in Lebanon. So أكيد it was hard. بس we're thankful and grateful إنه أكيد for the baby.
What is the one thing that you would say surprised you the most about postpartum?
The first thing is that عن جد هالقد you can function and be efficient even if you're not sleeping. يعني قبل إذا بتفكري فيها before even getting pregnant, إذا حدا بيجي بيقول لك ما رح تنامي وما رح تكوني عم تظهري ولا تزبطي حالك ولا تغيري جو ولا تعملي شيء بحياتك ولا تنامي ولا ترتاحي ولا تاكلي منيح, تقولي إنه how will I do it? إنه how can I survive this? No way. أكيد ما بعملها. فبس once أنت بقلب الشغلة تحسي إنه no, I can do it. أكيد it's hard. بس إنه surprisingly you can do it.
The strength of a mother, right? I think as a mom you do a lot of things that...
And the fathers as well.
And the fathers.
Really, أكيد هلا في physically it's harder for the woman because you went through the pregnancy and everything. بس كمان I remember my husband يعني he wasn't sleeping, مش إنه بس أنا he wasn't sleeping, he had to work. يعني أنا كمان أكيد I was doing my part and he was doing his part يعني مع شغله الفول تايم مع كل شيء. He was waking up at night, staying up late, etc., doing participating. So it was also hard for both of us.
Shout out to the husbands that are involved and that are helping out, because really I think they make a very big difference. For me as well, at the time my husband was working from home, and so he really helped out with the baby. And looking back, I think there was a lot of teamwork involved,
This is very important. Otherwise, really, you cannot survive this. No way. أكيد أهلنا كمان كانوا حدنا, بس إنه ما كانوا كل الوقت. يعني they helped بالأول and that's it. So we were partners in this. We have to do it. We have to do this.
Yeah. But I think also as a mom, having gone through pregnancy and then having gone through birth and having gone through the drop in hormones and then continuing that and going through healing and going through taking care of the baby, there's just a lot on a mom's plate. And I think sometimes we don't know how much strength we have until we have no choice. You have a little human that's literally depending on you. Did you have any help at the time other than your husband?
Yeah, my mom came and my mother-in-law also for a few weeks. It was helpful at the beginning, but خلص they left after that. So yeah, this is why I'm telling you. يعني خلص you feel إنه you don't have enough support. يعني ما فيك تتكلي على حدا. يعني you have your husband and that's it. ما في حدا تاني. مش إنه مثل ما when you're in Lebanon you have خالته وتيتا وجده وكل شوي حدا بيجي وحدا بيهدي وحدا بيعطي البطل. يعني you have a lot. حتى بالأول we didn't have anyone to help حتى بالبيت. So I had to do even everything يعني بالبيت. يعني the cleaning, the cooking, everything. So it's hard. In Lebanon you don't have this. بيجي حدا بيعطيك أكل, بيجي حدا بيساعدك, بيجي حدا. So it's different.
You have a love for cooking though. We'll get into that. But I do have a question. What made you say that you're still going through postpartum a year and a half later?
I just got back to work a few months ago, and although it was my choice, but I feel إنه my life was put on hold. يعني خلص وقفت حياتي for تقريبا 1 year because I wasn't working, I wasn't doing anything. We didn't have help at home. We didn't have a nanny. It was my choice again. يعني I was convinced, but at the same time it was too much, to take care of the house, your couple, the baby, doing everything. And it was hard. So a few months ago, خلص, I decided I gave, 1 year and 2 months for Celia, purely Celia, يعني nothing else. And now I think it's important to have هيك a balance for Celia and for myself. So I got back to work. She started nursery half day. I'm working part-time. So I feel like هلا I'm going back to life. So this is why I feel like now I'm recovering. وأكيد في كتير أشياء بتقطعي فيها during birth, after that, postpartum. بتضلي تشتغلي على حالك يعني. You need to do some work to feel better and to feel good. So yeah.
Tell us a bit about your love for cooking. Where did that come from? Did you start cooking for Celia when she was 6 months and do the baby-led weaning?
So actually it started with COVID. I think مثل كل العالم وقتها they started testing experimenting in the kitchen. But I couldn't stop, after COVID. I loved it. And when we moved to Dubai, when we got married, كنا هيك يعني we used to enjoy, hosting people, يجوا لعنا حد يأكل. I love it, and you خلص start experimenting, trying new recipes. And with Celia أكيد يعني I love preparing food for her. Sometimes they tell me إنه it's too much يعني اسم الله إنه الصحن والترويقة والغدا وهيك. إنه I enjoy doing it. It's not هيك ما بحس إنه غصب عني عم بحضر لها أو I don't like it. لا هلا أكيد sometimes you're tired يعني مش حطول بنعمل هول البلا الهيوج بس إنه I enjoy it. I love preparing her food. تجرب أشياء جديدة هيك تدوق أشياء جديدة. So yeah.
And so Gaelle, you were a speech therapist before becoming a mom?
Yeah.
Okay. And
I started working in 2017.
Oh, wow. So it's been a while actually that you've been working as speech therapy. Well, first of all, what caught your interest in this profession?
Actually, I like everything related to, the medical part. So I had an idea to become a doctor, but then I felt like I need more, like seeing the patient هيك once every few months. You don't have this continuous relationship. I felt like I needed to do more. And I felt like speech therapy could be the answer because, you work closely with the families, with the parents, with the children. So yeah, I like it. And it's not like you're helping, but there's like
humanitarian.
Yeah, humanitarian, part of the work. You have this speech therapy. So yeah, and my grandma used to work in a hospital and she always used to tell me, you know what, I always see this speech therapist in the hospital. I think it suits you. So I think it would be a good job for you. And then, I started reading about it. I didn't know what is speech therapy. It wasn't well known. So I started reading about it and I felt like it was very interesting.
Mm-hmm. For those of us that don't really know what goes into speech and language therapy and development, can you tell us a little bit about what it is?
So a speech and language therapist can work with any child, adult, or elderly who are having a difficulty in the communication and the language. And when we talk about communication, it's not just the verbal communication, it's also the nonverbal communication. So how a young child or how a baby is, communicating with gestures, pointing, eye contact, smiling, facial expressions. It's all this nonverbal communication. And when we talk also about language, it's not only the expressive language, how I'm saying words or sentences. It's also how we're reacting to sounds, how we are understanding the words, understanding the sentences. So it's everything related to communication and language. Some have additional certificates to work on feeding, swallowing disorders.
So it actually starts quite early on.
Yeah.
At what age would you say that the language development starts?
Any age, actually, really. Like, because we're also talking about communication, nonverbal communication. So at a very young age, we're talking about newborns and babies. Like we look at the nonverbal communication, as we said, the eye contact, the smiling, pointing, the interest in the interaction and interest in other people. We also talk about babbling, imitating sounds. So this starts before the age of 1. It starts very early.
And I do have to ask, has motherhood changed your approach or your perspective as a therapist?
Yeah, actually, مش لكتير أحكي عن حالي بس إنه usually I'm not saying I'm the best therapist أو perfect therapist بس كانوا على طول يقولوا لي إنه على طول عندها هيدي الapproach with the parents إنه I can feel them I have this empathy مش إنه هيك يعني خلص إنه مهم عملت شغلي يعني I have this relationship and I always have in mind إنه I'm shaping the future of this child يعني whenever someone is working with me يعني if I don't give my best وما بعمل أحسن شيء عندي عن جد it might affect their future so I always have this responsibility وهيدي طريقة التفكير however when I became a mom it doubled يعني لأنه I can really feel the pain of the parents I know how it feels to worry about your child أو يعني أنا إذا سيليا is having a flu يمكن بيتقطع قلبي عليها I'm worried كيف إذا عم نحكي عن seeing my baby or my child not able to communicate not able to express themselves not able to understand what's happening يعني كل هولي وإذا عم نحكي عن cases صعبين أو أشياء يعني عم نحكي عن disorders so this is very difficult يعني كتير هذا الشيء صعب على الأهل فأكيد as a mom يعني I can feel it more now شغلة تانية إنه أكيد I used to give some tips و advices وإشياء يعملوها الأهل بالبيت بس هلأ كمان I take into consideration بعد أكتر قديه الأهل they are overwhelmed now قديه they are busy قديه they already have a lot to do يعني أنا أجي أعطيهم كمان كتير إشياء إنه خلص it's not realistic now that I became a mom I know how it is فحتى التيبس and the advices and strategies كل شيء منجرب كتير يكونوا يعني عم بيفيدوا بس in a simple way يعني حتى هاد الاشياء اللي عم نقولها للأهل صارت شوي هيك فيها flexibility أكتر encouraging أكتر more realistic تنعمل بالdaily life تبعهم مش إنه كتير rigid وبدنا نقعد ونعمل وهيك so even this changed so yeah I can say I became a better therapist, not because suddenly I knew more, but maybe because I felt more. So,
And do you feel like you have done some of your work with your daughter as well?
yeah, definitely, definitely. يعني I'm lucky إنه I know a lot about communication and language, and this definitely helped my baby develop her language, her communication skills. so yeah هلأ بس نحكي كتير عن هلأ التيبس والadvices that I'm already doing with Celia and it's helping a lot.
And moving on a little bit more details into speech and language development. You mentioned the parents. A lot of the times the parents are very concerned and worried when they see kids around them. There's a lot of comparison and they see kids around them developing in a certain way. And then they realize that their own daughter or son is not developing at that same pace. And so whether it's social media, whether it's society, whether it's family telling you, my son spoke at 1, my son spoke at 10 months, my daughter did this, you can't help but compare. And we all know that every child develops at their own pace. But still there is that comparison in the back of your head because you're a parent. You want what's best for your kids. So if you were to tell parents some of the red flags that they should be paying attention to, what would those be?
Usually when we ask about red flags, we expect the answer to be, about the first words, the first sentences. أي عمر ببلش يحكي ابني. So yeah, it's true. I can tell you like around the age of 1, we expect to hear the first words, mama, papa. At the age of 2 years, we expect, the combination of 2 words. Okay, I can tell you that. But it's not enough. This is not, the only milestone or red flags we should look for because we just talked about it. We have a lot before the first words. We have the communication, the nonverbal. We have also the receptive part. So it's very important even before the age of 1 to look at, the eye contact, the imitation. Is the baby imitating the gestures that I'm doing? Is the baby looking at me? Is the baby smiling? Is the baby interested in the communication? So all of these are, also red flags. It's very also important to look at the receptive part. Is the baby reacting to the sounds? Is the baby reacting to his name? Is the baby reacting, to some words? Is he understanding words and sentences and, like short instructions? So all of these are very important. And we have for each aspect, for each age, we have different milestones. So I cannot, talk about all of these. But what I can say is really, whenever a parent have a concern, please don't wait and see. يعني خلص, we never follow this approach, this, هيدا التفكير إنه wait and see, because early intervention is key, and the earliest we start the better. يعني أوقات and even before the age of 1, يعني إذا حاسين الأهل في شيء غريب عم يعمل حركات غريبة ما إنه interested بغيره, ما كتير عم يتطلع, ما كتير عم يعمل reaction, ask someone, ask a therapist, ask a speech and language therapist, ask your pediatrician. It's very important لأنه sometimes what I do at least with parents is بدي يقولوا لي بدك تبلشي تشتغلي مع ولد عمره السنة أو أقل, كيف بدك تشتغلي معه تعمل session. Sometimes we don't do that. بنبلش نشتغل مع الأهل sometimes very simple tips and advices and strategies. بنبلش هيك نفوتهم بحياتنا اليومية, إشياء هن يغيروها يزبطوها بالطريقة اللي عم بيتصرفوا مع الولد. It changes a lot. So really it's very important to ask someone in case you have any concern. مش لنعمل بانيك, مش هلأ عم بقول حي لحدا شوي عطلان هم we're gonna panic, بس إنه better to ask someone من إنه نحنا to wait and see بكرة بيحكي. No, sometimes okay it's true, في كتير ولاد يمكن بيتأخروا ليحكوا and then they start talking و they develop normally وكل شيء, بس أوقات كتير لا. So better to ask someone, better to consult, better to get the advice, better to start working with a speech therapist على إشياء هن فيهم بلشوا يعملوها بالبيت, and better من إنه نقعد وهيك waiting ونضيع وقت.
So if we were to break it down into like bullet points of what these red flags are, I know it's not gray and, white and black. It's a little bit gray. But if we were to break it down on what these bullet points of the red flags are that the parents should watch out for, what would you say they are?
I would say before the age of 1, look at the communication, even the nonverbal communication of the child. يعني مثل ما قلنا eye contact, imitation, use of gestures, smile, facial expressions, everything that is nonverbal, the interest that they have in the interaction in other people. This is before the age of 1. It should be developed. Around the age of 1, we talk about the language, but not only the expressive language. It's true around the age of 1. We have the first words. Around the age of 2, we have combination of 2 words, but we also have to check everything related to the receptive part, يعني reaction to the noun, reaction to the name, reaction to the words, understanding of words, sentences, instructions. And another point, very important, don't wait and see. Don't wait and see. Ask someone, get help, start applying some strategies, techniques with a speech therapist at home.
You mentioned that around the age of 1, they should start saying words. Are we talking about pronouncing words correctly also?
No, not at all. So even around the age of 1, even, the sounds of the animals are considered as words. So if they are saying meow, moo, all these sounds, it's also like a word. So definitely ما بنطلع على pronunciation around the age of 1. كل اللي بيهمنا أنه to start, saying some words. Even the sounds of the animals, for example, is considered a word at this age. يعني المو والمياو all these sounds are also words. So أبدا ما بنطلع كيف عم يلفظ الولد. Usually around the age of 3 ببلش الولد يصير عم يفهم أكتر. We're understanding more what they are saying, بس كمان ما بيكون كل لفظ الأحرف وكل sounds are 100% correct. Okay, so at this age it's very early to talk about pronunciation or articulation. We care about the communication, the interaction, and using and understanding some words and sentences starting the age of 2.
Is it true that the parents' pronunciation is important? And because back in the day when my mom, was a first-time mom, they used to say like baby words like goo goo gaga and all of that. And now we're told differently. We're told that the parents need to pronounce words correctly. Is that true?
Yes, it's true. It's very important to give the right input and feedback for the child. We will never force the child to repeat a word. يعني أنا هلأ ولا مرة بجي بقول لها لسيليا no mama, crocodile, not crocodile. I never do that, okay? But I always give her the right input, the right feedback. She needs to hear correctly how a word should be pronounced. Okay, so هلا we have مثلا different tips. إشياء كتير فينا نعملها to give corrective feedback. بنسميه مثلا فينا we can repeat the word correctly, basic. بس حيلا حدا بيقول مثلا crocodile instead of crocodile, we can say yes, it's crocodile. That's one. 2, we can, divide the word into different parts. مثلا crocodile. We can also clap or tap crocodile. So this can help also the child هيك يفهم إنه في three parts in the word. فينا نغني الغنية شوي نعملها نغني الكلمة شوي نعطيها لحن كمان لحتى ينتبهوا كم part في بهيدي الكلمة. بس it's very important إنه ما نجبر الولد يعيد. يعني repetition on the spot is not helpful at all, even if they might repeat it correctly on the spot. This is not the goal, لأنه رح يرجع يمكن يلفظوها بطريقة غير. So the important part is to give the corrective feedback, but don't expect, a correct answer on the spot, and never force your child to repeat a word. Otherwise بصير في عنا frustration تجاه language and pronunciation and words and everything.
That's very interesting. But how do you track that she is starting to say the word correctly? Does it take some time for her to start saying the word correctly?
Yeah, it might take some time. But this is not the goal. يعني again, we never expect, a correct pronunciation before, the age of 3, 4. حتى في letters حتى ما بيطلعوا قبل 4 and 5. So this is not the aim and the goal of, the giving a corrective feedback. We just want them to hear it, to have a correct input. But even if it's taking, months and years, it's fine.
Can you tell us some of the myths that, whether in your practice or on social media or even in the community, myths about speech delays and speech development?
So مثل ما حكينا هلا, the first one is, they will grow out of it. So هيدي أول شيء. يعني في كتير بنسمع بكرة بيحكي, بكرة بيكبر, Okay, it's true. بنعرف كتير أشخاص أكيد بيعطونا examples. في كتير أشخاص تأخروا ليحكوا ورجع مش الحال. بس في كتير كمان لا. So many children لا إنه ما قدروا to do that on their own. They needed support, they needed help. So this is why we don't wait and see. ما بنتكل على إنه they will grow out of it. This is the first one. 2, إنه إذا استعملنا كذا لغة, they might have a delay. So this is also not true. All studies showed that children who are using different languages, many languages, do not have a higher risk of developing a language delay compared to the children who are using only one language. So, and in case a child who's using many languages is having a delay, it's not because of the multilingualism. It's not because of that. So that's 2. Another one I heard about it a lot, especially with Celia, because I was doing it, is that sign language or using signs can delay language. Even my family, they were all asking إنه هلا إذا هي she's using signs كيف بدها بكرة تحكي بدها تعمل لك signs. It's not true. كمان الستاديز فرجونا إنه بالعكس it supports the language development for 2 reasons. أول شيء, we are giving them a way to communicate before, even being able to use words. So عم نخليهم يعرفوا إنه لا, it's important to communicate, it's good to communicate. عم نعطيهم هيدا tool to communicate. And 2, when we use a sign, it's a visual help to understand a word. So كمان بس أنا أعمل مثلا lapin أو الرابط أعمل له sign, أو أعمل for the cat for example, عم بجرب أعطيها visual help, لأن هي بالنسبة لها الولد بالنسبة له عم بيسمع شيء abstract. يعني أنا شو يعني بالنسبة لإلي الشاء إذا أول مرة عم بسمع this word. It doesn't mean anything. بس إذا عم ساعدها بشي sign, عم بعطيها شيء visual to help her understand the word كمان. So yeah, it supports the language, but it doesn't delay the language.
And you mentioned the myth that kids will grow out of it, and sure, some kids do. But would you say there's like an age by which kids should be talking, no matter what?
هلا أكيد we always say around the age of 1.5 إذا ما عم يحكي الولد أكيد better to ask someone. يعني هلا يمكن بيجي حدا بيقول إنه أنا بقيت للسنتين و3 ما حكيت بعدين حكيت عادي. It's true. بس عطول better to consult, better to ask someone around the age of 1.5. إذا بعد ما في كلمات أكيد better to see someone. مثل ما قلنا before the age of 1 إذا ما في communication, ما في interest بالcommunication, better to ask someone.
Is there a way that parents can reach you?
Yeah, definitely. On Instagram, on my page. We can also share my phone number and my email if you want.
Okay, perfect. So we'll be adding all of Gaelle's details to the show notes. As she said, if there are any concerns or anything, always reach out. It's very important sometimes to just get a second advice. There might be nothing there. There's no need to panic. But maybe there are small tips and tricks that you can integrate into your daily life, and that might be helpful as well. Can you tell us some of those tips and tricks on how to support the language development in our children?
Definitely. So the first step, you're going to be shocked maybe, is, not to talk. First step is just observe, wait and listen. We always say this to the parent. It's like owl word, OWL, owl. Okay, so you never forget. Observe, wait and listen. Why? Because I don't want to start talking about something that my child is not interested in. So first of all, I need to take a step back, observe what they are doing, how they are playing, listen to what they are saying, so I can start, like interfering, I can interact with them. So this is the first step. Second, to work on the language skills, to have a conversation, to ask something. Usually we start with the questions. Okay, we can do this, but it's a lot of pressure to keep on asking questions. What's this? What's that? What's this? What's that? We have different other strategies that you can use to boost the language. First one is to comment on what the child is doing. So for example, if they are playing or feeding the baby, you can say, you're feeding the baby. It looks yummy. So you're just commenting, you're giving a comment on what they are doing. This is one. Two, you can repeat, because when you repeat, you show interest. And like if someone is saying, eat for the baby, eat. You're saying, yalla, eat. You should eat. So you're just repeating because, you're showing interest on what the child is saying. You can also expand. So if the child is saying one word, fish, you can say, yeah, it's a big fish. So you add a word to what the child is already saying. Okay, so you see, we have a lot of, to do beside only asking questions. And something very important that the parents need to know is that I always try to focus on this, especially on my page. You don't need to have flashcards to sit, in a room, on the table, on the chair, the table, and in order to work on the language skills. You can do it in your daily life, in everyday situations, in your routines. You don't need to spend hours in the room just to boost your child's language.
I think that's a big concern, because how do you add something on parents' plate?
Exactly.
There's just no time, right?
Exactly. And if you see in one of my videos, I show the parents that while we're washing Celia's hands, we're singing a song, we're naming the body parts. While maybe we're driving in the car, we are singing, we are signing, the song, we are just having sometimes a conversation, we're just talking, about where we are going, what we are doing. So it's really very simple. Sometimes some parents need some help, some advices to know how to apply it, because sometimes it's, it's easy to say, but it's difficult to apply. But it's really very easy. With the help of a speech therapist, it's very easy, and you can do it, while feeding. If the baby is just eating, it's time to eat. Instead of just eating or feeding the baby, we can stop. Oh, look, I prepared, I cut the kiwi, and here we have the eggs. It looks yummy. What are you eating? Okay, so we can name the food. We can just give comments on how the food smells, on how, what is the texture. Like, we can just, talk about it. And during meal times, we can also, when the children are older, we can have conversations. We can talk about our day. This is already something. This is already very helpful, and it can really boost the language development and the communication and the bond, with our children.
And I have to ask you, what's the real deal with screens and speech development?
Okay, so the American Academy of Pediatrics already, they were very, very clear about screen time. No screen time before the age of 2 unless you're video chatting. So this was very clear. It's not me. It's just it's the AAP. So yeah, before the age of 2, it's not recommended. After that, we understand sometimes we need the screens, but it should be controlled. We cannot spend the whole day, watching, on the screens. We cannot walk in the house with the iPads and with the phones. We cannot go to the restaurants and sit all the time, on the iPad. I'm not judging. I know how hard it is. I know sometimes you have to do it, but it is helpful for the parents and for the children to have, like a schedule. We know, like, we have now 30 minutes of screen time. It's not, everywhere, anytime, anywhere.
Mm-hmm. If we were to integrate screen time before the age of 2, because as you said, sometimes you just have to. Are there specific shows that you feel are better than others and you would recommend for the development of the language?
I wouldn't recommend throws. I wouldn't recommend something specific. Instead, I would say that at any age, if we can sit with the child, comment on what they are watching instead of just being passive. This is the problem with screen time, that you don't have the interaction. It's, they are just watching. There's no, real interaction. So if we can stop, if we can just ask some questions, comment on things, that would be helpful. Two, if we can, after the screen time, ask, if they are older, ask them what they watched, to work on the narrative skills, what they liked, what they didn't like in the show. It would be helpful, but personally, definitely, I wouldn't recommend it before the age of 2.
Mm-hmm. So you're talking about even after the age of 2, having that interaction, that language interaction with your kids.
Definitely. This is very important because we are adding, some interaction, some language conversations to what they saw on the screens.
Mm-hmm. And if you were to point out a few ways that you can talk to your toddlers or your babies that boost language development, what would those be?
So yeah, it's very important to use full sentences. Okay, even if they are newborns and babies, use full sentences instead of saying eat banana. You eat banana, for example. We can ask, do you want to eat a banana? This is already helpful. This is much better than using baby talk or words that are sentences that are not full, that are not complete. So talk to your children, even if they are babies. And beside developing their communication and language skills, it can reduce the frustration. So I'm just gonna give you an example. Not because I'm not criticizing my husband, but I know بعرف أكتر بهيدا الأشياء شوي related للlanguage والولاد. بس مرة he asked me إنه Gaelle ليش سيليا ما بتبكي معك؟ إنه ليش أنا معي كل الوقت بتبكي؟ So she was I think 8 or 9 months يعني ما كانت baby مش عم بحكي عن هلا. after هيك the observation I told him what's the problem إنه ما بتحكي معها ما بتحكي ما بتخبرها شو رح يصير ما بتحكيها هو مفكر يمكن مثل كتير أهل and I totally understand it إنه مش حيفهموا هلا إنه شو بدي يفهموا مش حيعرفوا أنا شو عم بقول بس بالعكس no it's not true they can understand يعني if we use simple sentences and in simple ways بس full sentences and we explain they can understand مع repetition they will associate things they will start understand this is how they will develop understanding language. So it was just an example. طلعت هيك إنه مثلا بتكون سلية عم تلعب she's playing منشيلها هيك دغري بنحطها بالسترولر لتشرب حليب إنه he has to do it he has to she has to sit in the stroller. الفرق بلش تبكي أكيد لأنه هي كانت عم تلعب ليش هلأ قعدت بالسترولر. So لو حتى عمر صغير كنت أنا على طول إلا بطريقة بسيطة سيليا now we have to drink the milk وبعمل أوقات بستعمل كمان حركات لساعد understanding تبع sentences. بدنا نشرب حليب we have to drink milk you have to sit in the stroller I show her the stroller تسبقنها وبتقعد بصير تقعد بالسترولر يعني so this is very important إنه على طول نفسر نحكي ما نفكر إنه ما رح يفهموا بيفهموا فيهم يفهموا إذا نحن عم نستعمل simple sentences بيفهموا أكيد. ف this is very important and for the frustration as well. Another example just to make it clear for the parents شو قصدي مثلا we were going to the doctor وأكيد سيليا كانت كتير عم تبكي بس رحنا أول مرة كتير عم تبكي although ما في شي بيوجع مش إنه عم نعمل شي بيوجع بس they are checking the ears so كمان I explained before going قلت لها we're gonna go see the doctor وقعدتها يعني كذا مرة نحنا وبالبيت in the car بس وصلنا now we're gonna see the doctor she's gonna check your ears صارت هيك عم تكفي كمان جملة so وقتها فتنا to see the doctor okay she had tears in her eyes بس ما عملنا كتير ما بكينا كتير لأنه she knew what was gonna happen يعني so this was very helpful كمان لحتى الفرustration تخف.
And would you say there's a specific way to introduce multiple languages as well?
كتير مهم إنه الأهل يستعملوا اللانجوج اللي هن بيرتاحوا فيها. يعني أنا ما في أجي أقول للأهل مثلا you should speak French with your daughter you should speak Arabic لحتى هيك تكونوا عم بتقسموا وبالمدرسة you should put her in an English school. ما فينا نعمل هيك يعني لازم كل أهل عندهم الانفايرمنت تبعهم عندهم الكيس تبعهم عندهم اللانجوجز تبعهم so there's ما في عنا one way كتير مهم هن يكونوا عم يستعملوا اللانجوج اللي هن بيرتاحوا فيها، لأنه إذا عم we're giving feedback مش مزبوط أو input مش مزبوط it's not gonna help. وإذا نحن عم نعمل إفار والcommunication منا natural تبعنا لأنه we're doing a lot of efforts لنستعمل هيدي اللغة أو لنحكي بس بهيدي اللغة it's gonna be also difficult for the parents. So ما في جواب واحد، كتير مهم هن يكونوا عم بيستعملوا اللغة اللي بيكونوا مرتاحين فيها as long as we're giving the right input، يعني عم نعطي input صح، عم نلفظ الكلمات صح. The mixing part, just to mention this, the mixing part is now part of the normal development. يعني كل الأولاد هلأ صاروا بيحكوا كذا لغة و they mix and it's okay وصار part of their normal development.
Okay, so Gaelle, I think this has been extremely helpful. If we were to end things with, or if we were to end this episode with a piece of advice that you have for moms out there that are listening and that are worried about the development of their own kids, of the language development of their own kids, what would you tell them? And if you like, you can give the advice to the main camera.
So first of all, please don't wait and see. Whenever you are worried, whenever you have a concern, trust your instinct, trust your feeling without panicking. Just ask someone, ask a speech therapist and seek help. That's one. Two, to help your children, just talk to them, speak with them, tell them, you know, about your day, comment on what you're doing. Just do it in your daily life, in your routines, in your everyday situations. It doesn't have to be complicated or difficult. You can do it in your everyday situations, in your routines, while feeding them, while taking the shower, while washing their hands, in the car, if you're going somewhere. So you can do it anywhere and everywhere. I just want to end it by saying that for the moms, please give a priority for yourself. And I know it's not easy, but you should take care of yourself and just focus on you, your baby, and your husband, this family, because at the end of the day, you cannot please everyone. Just do whatever you feel is better for you, for your baby, and for your family.
Thank you so much, Gaelle. I think that was the perfect ending to this episode, honestly. Thank you for sharing all of your insights, all of your tips. It's very valuable for parents to know and to really understand the development of their kids. It can give them a lot of peace of mind as well. And as I mentioned before, we're going to be providing all of Gaelle's links and contact information in the show notes below, so you can reach out to her as well. If you have any thoughts, any questions, you can also reach out to us. And remember that if you have a story of your own to share, you can share it with us on contact@madinatmom.com. You can always find me on Instagram, Madinat Mom, and you can always reach us on www.madinatmom.com. As Gaelle said, remember to take care of yourselves first and foremost. And until next time, take care of yourselves as fiercely as you take care of your little ones.